I'm Sarah Colvin, and we are here in South Yarmouth for an update on what's happening with the Bass River. I welcome Beth, Patkoske, and DeWitt Davenport of the Friends of Bass River. Thank you so much for having me over and letting us talk about the Bass River today.
Thanks for joining us.
It's great to be with you.
So the Friends of Bass River launched, will be a year old coming up this year. Tell me a little bit about the past year and how things are progressing with the Friends.
Well, we launched actually on Earth Day last year, so we're looking forward to the one-year celebration of that, and we had a really great year. We had so many people excited about being involved, and our entire message is to educate, collaborate, and preserve the river, Bass River. And we had several different events throughout the year. We had 2 river cleanups, and we also had Give Thanks for Our River, an appreciation event for our volunteers and our members. So the membership has really been growing, and we've had a lot of people who want to get involved and learn more about what's happening with the river.
There are several folks that I call members of my 50-year club. That means that I've known them for 50 years, and it's all because of the association of being on and around Bass River. We knew that Bass River had changed from when we were young adults till today, but until we received a report from the state giving us factual information based upon evidence, that we knew that the river was technically dying, primarily because of nitrogen, high levels of nitrogen. In fact, it's 47% higher in nitrogen than the baseline set by the state. So we felt we had to do something about it. And there was not a conduit in place at that time, either through the towns or the county, to become a steward of the river. So we said, we're going to step up to the plate, form an organization, raise some money so that we can get some staff to help us with the process of what Beth talked about, which is the preservation of it. And doing that, we've got 3 basic tentacles: the education part of it, the collaboration part of it, getting to the preservation. And the education part of it, most people's jaw literally drop and they say, what? Why is the next question, and what can we do about it? Well, we could stand by the wayside and let government work and put in regulations in an effort to try and change the direction of the nitrogen loading within the river, total nitrogen, or we can do it ourselves in a grassroots effort, and that's what we've taken on as a challenge. It's the longest river on Cape Cod. It literally bisects the Cape. And it's got a tremendous watershed associated with this river. We've got to come together in order to be able to preserve this dying river.
So there is some work being done right now, and wanted to get an update on that. Let's start with the bicycle bridge, or the old railroad bridge, and that's not just providing a crossing for bicyclists and pedestrians, but it's also kind of helping some of the flow in that area. So tell us a little bit about what you know about that project and where we're at.
The bike trail received state funding to be extended from South Dennis straight over into Yarmouth and had to cross Bass River. When you look at the hydraulics of the river in that area, and you look at the results of the water quality in Fallon's Pond and the surrounding area, something had to be done. The main component was to widen it and deepen it so that we could double the flushing action, to be able to take the contaminants out and replace it with higher quality water, and that is just a start in the process. We have to change our behaviors. But this is one of the few tools that we could do on an engineering side to be able to improve the quality of the water long term.
Sure. So let's talk a little bit about the dredging. We saw some of the dredging workers go by as we were setting up our interview. So where are they dredging, and why is it important for that to happen here on Bass River?
Because of a survey done on the river, they've determined that there are some choke points. That means points where we've got to open it up to get better flushing. So they started literally from the Bass River Bridge and have been working toward the mouth of the river, essentially taking out the humps. To date, from the beginning of this project, they've moved more than 10,000 cubic yards of material, and in conjunction with the beach replenishment project over in West Dennis, are dispersing the spoils early enough in the year so that this, quote, smell that you would get from the bottom of the river will dissipate. The sand will be bleached out, so by the time you're ready for a summer swim, it'll be gorgeous.
And let's talk a little bit about the Bass River Bridge, because I understand that is slated for a reconstruction as well. So tell me what's going on with that. I know we're in the very beginning stages of this project.
They referred to it years ago as the lower bridge for Bass River. In 1832, the bridge was constructed to replace the ferry service that ran from West Dennis on Ferry Street over to Union Street in South Yarmouth. That was the first bridge. And then there were other renditions of the bridge. That particular bridge was updated in 1890, and then came along in 1907. Some engineer decided that what we should really do to reduce the cost is to have a tiny little bridge on the West Dennis side, a small bridge on the South Yarmouth side, and what we'll do is just bring in a bunch of sand, throw it in the middle of the river, and so you have two smaller bridges and a big sand pile in the middle.
Oh my.
Well, the environmental results of that were not pretty. So fast forward a little later in the early 1900s, more specifically 1935, the Bass River Bridge was completed. 3 lanes wide with a pedestrian walkway. And if you really take a hard look at it, they did a tremendous job of increasing the flow. And I commend the design. However, when you really take a look at all the vertical components of it, that impedes water flow. In addition, they did not take away all the material that they had brought in to build that center little island to connect the two towns. And that is very, very shallow at the current time and is being evaluated in the design that has commenced with respect to the bridge that they hope to complete the design and permitting by the year 2020.
And of course, involving folks like yourself, like the Friends of Bass River, the community, very important. I know there was a meeting recently with DOT and some other key figures to really start that conversation. I think that's an important thing to talk about a little bit too.
The Friends of Bass River, in accordance with one of their primary pillars, said, let's collaborate. Let's get the state to come down, the Department of Transportation, their consulting engineers, their in-house engineers, their project manager, plus their community representative who will be helping to educate everybody as to what is going to be occurring, when, where, and why. They hadn't got together with any representatives of either town. So we put them all in a room and said, we're here to help you. But by the way, we really want the Zakin Bridge. Of course, we get a blank stare. But the concept is we have to be able to engineer this where we try to minimize the impact on the flow so that we don't have scouring, we don't have buildup of material on either side of the bridge. And they were very receptive to it. And they didn't realize the problem until they actually stood on the bridge and looked down. They've seen it from aerial photographs. They didn't know why the material was there. They didn't know the history of the bridge. So it was a great start to get the collaboration that's going to be necessary to A, expedite the process, and B, hopefully bring it at a cost that we can fit within the budget that the state has appropriated money for.
What else is in the sights for the Friends of Bass River for the coming months?
We've had just short of 100 folks indicating an interest in volunteering. We have to energize those folks, and we have to start to lay out the programs for the balance of the year where people can participate in helping the river's health. That's number one. Number two is we're looking at a spring summit coming up where we hope to have different individuals with different technical knowledge come in and inform the community. I'm not a shellfish specialist. I am not a specialist in hydraulics and the design of the bridge, but help people understand what's going on today, how it potentially can be improved, and what the future looks like. And so by having a summit late spring before we get into the summer, it's going to be great. Meanwhile, we'll do some of the similar things, the cleanups for the river, but we're getting energized, and it's fun.
One of the main things is we want just people to get more involved. Education is one of the key components, and that's what we're focusing on. And the more people learn about it, the more they want to get involved in helping. So we have a really solid website. We have a ton of information on there, details about the scientific aspects, about boating on the river, about how you can help as a homeowner. So there's a lot of information on there and some great photos as well, so people really really, focus on what they love about the river. A lot of people through the generations have spent time with their grandparents and now their kids on there. So it's definitely something that hits people in their heart. What we also offer is a membership. You can just join as a subscriber to our newsletter, which is totally free. And once a month we have the River News, and that'll be updates on all the things we're talking about today and all the upcoming events. And then we also have all the social media. We have a Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter. So, we can definitely focus on keeping people up to date and also hearing what their comments and questions are and what their concerns are, and everyone working together, which is the collaboration part. So still working closely with the towns and the communities in general and other organizations on the Cape who also are working hard to protect rivers and waterways.
Great. Friendsofbassriver.org, of course.
Right, friendsofbassriver.org and Friends of Bass River on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Wonderful. Well, Beth, DeWitt, thank you so much.
It's great to be with you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your dedication to Bass River, and we'll look forward to all of the events to come this year.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Beth Patkoske and DeWitt Davenport, thank you.
Great.
With the Friends of Bass River, again, you can find them online at friendsofbassriver.org. I'm Sarah Colvin.